Ladies and gentlemen, look who we have on the show. Sev herself, Karen David. How are you, Karen?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
How exciting is it that Black Ops 6 is now out and I believe, millions and millions of people have played it already. How's it all feeling for you?
It's so surreal. Uh, it's the amount of love that I've been receiving for Sev has just been.
Oh,
I'm so deeply touched and so overwhelmed. As an actor, you're always you're always scared too because I knew that this was such a huge franchise, coming into it. And I know how meaningful, this game in particular was, 4 years in the making. There's a lot of pressure to get it right. Everyone has their own opinion of what should be done and what shouldn't be done. It's really difficult, and I think being in the front lines, working with everyone at Raven, Treyarch, Activision, and it literally was 4 years of blood, sweat, and tears. No one slept. We came into the cast, we came into it 2 years in. So we've been working on it for 2 years. And it's just been one hell of a journey, like in the best ways. Like it's such a thrilling adventure. And I have had the time of my life right from day one till now. Playing Sev is such a buzz that I it's a buzz that you miss so much. She's far cooler than I could ever dream of being. And she's such a badass. I just love her sassiness. Um,
but complex
I'm
too.
yeah,
Complex.
very,
Mm.
no, I mean, video games have come such a long way, as you know, and I feel like I felt like this was like filming a movie. The scripts are so well developed. The backstories of each of our characters, the narratives are so strong. Um, it's such a pleasure to play such a multi-layered, complex, multifaceted character like Sev, because there's a lot going on in that brain of hers. um and I often, like, before, when I'm prepping to play a character, it's very much laying out the canvas. It's like painting. There's so many textures and nuances that's so fun for me to add in for Sev. And I kind of always start to, at the beginning, where I'm like, I come up with a playlist because that
Oh, you
really helps.
do.
I do. And I
Mm.
think it comes a lot from my music background too, because I'm a singer as well.
Yes.
What really helps for me to get into the zone of a character, especially because we're in PCAP suits. So we don't necessarily have, costumes to, step into. We have an idea of what that might look like, but we have pretty much like wetsuits with a bunch of dots on ourselves and a camera that looks like a duck's beak, in front of us. And, you know, it, the music became even more important for me because I just play a song that will just get me into Sev mode like
So
that.
what's her theme song, Karen?
Oh God. Well, I knew that obviously this is set in the 90s, 91.
Yep.
And so I went and did a deep dive into music in 1991. And there
Well, that
was
would
a
have been
bunch.
fun.
Oh, let me tell you, it was like a bunch of songs. I was like, yes, this is good for this cutscene. This song's great for this cutscene. And so I would always have my AirPods with me and I just like give it a blast, the day that we're rehearsing and filming. That
Yeah.
would just help me get into Seb's zone. So if we're talking like playlists,
Would you
let
ever
me get
share
it.
this playlist, Karen?
Oh
Or do you
yeah, I
you would?
should. I absolutely. And because people have asked and I've been wanting to do that.
Mm.
So obviously we knew that they were going to use a lot of Prodigy. Um, and so there were songs from 1991 and then obviously other songs too. So, Breathe and Firestarter were
Oh
really big
yeah, that's
songs
a good
that
one.
just instantly get me
Yeah.
into like badass Sev mode. I also had what do I have here? Oh, I had U2, Mysterious Ways. I just,
Oh,
because the lyrics are so
nice.
spot on. She moves in mysterious ways, and that's so Sev. So I had that. Yeah, right. I had Right Here, Right Now, Jesus Jones, OPP, Naughty by Nature. Um, and then I had songs like Hella Good with No Doubt and Let Me Blow Your Mind, Eve. And I've been adding those, song snippets to my stories on Instagram too, because that is for me, Sev.
So you really are
Um,
painting the canvas even across your social medias.
oh,
You're kind of
oh yeah.
connecting the dots.
Yeah, because this is how I came to find Sev. And so music was one component, but also, finding her voice. They told me that they wanted for Sev to
Mm.
have this very inconspicuous accent, a light Middle Eastern Arabic, light with a bit of Maltese in it, and maybe a touch of something
Jeez,
inconspicuous which you couldn't put your finger on.
that's a tough brief.
Let me tell you. So I was listening to, obviously, going back to phonetics, listening to, and they didn't want anything too thick. So it was just trying to find this sweet spot where you could have these three accents that could amalgamate and just be Sev. And so I'm in my office now, and this is my haven. And
Beautiful
so
office, by the way. Love the wallpaper.
I'm very big on home decor. Um, don't get me
I
started,
couldn't
Dan.
tell, Karen. I
I,
couldn't
could-
tell.
I would start talking about it for hours. But I just closed the door and I just, I play the music and I started to just say some of the lines, when we got in advance some of the scripts to find Sev's voice. I knew I wanted Sev's voice to be much deeper. In
Mm.
and I wanted it to feel very grounded. My voice naturally goes very bubbly high. But Sev is not that, Sev is definitely much more deeper in the register, lower.
Yeah.
And it's funny, you just kind of sound it out. It's kind of like learning how to ride a bike. You start, you fall, you're like, oh, that doesn't sound too good. And then finally you find that je ne sais quoi that gives that that vocal energy.
Mm.
And when I locked it in, I sent a clip to Murray, the writer of Campaign, and Natalie, the producer, Amanda, our VO director, and some of the Raven boys that were directing when we were doing PCAP. And I said, well, what do you think of this? And they were like, that's Sev, that's Sev, that's Sev. So so that's kind of how I created Sev, and knowing, there's a lot of personal chaos in Sev's mind. There's a lot of traumas. There's, her passions. She's very passionate about everything in life, good and bad. She's this no nonsense, sassy, cheeky woman who just tells it like it is. It was really important for me to honor those beats and um, tell my character's truth, tell Sev's truth, and she has one hell of a backstory as well. So I was just jumping, as an actor, you don't get these opportunities in video game land where you have such thoroughly developed characters, like I said, and backstories. So for me, this is a real treat, and I was just so excited. That was a very
I love long answers. You've come to the right show. You've come to the right show. I know you were bullied as a kid, but every time I see you, you're so positive. Is there any correlation between those two, or have you always been positive?
Yeah, I share my stories about being bullied because hindsight teaches you so much. But at the time when you're going through it, it just feels like the worst place on earth. You just feel so lonely. I didn't realize that loneliness was something very palpable in my life. And what loneliness does when you're bullied so much, I was bullied from the age of 11 all the way to like 16. You become, it's quite a lonely existence, because as kids, as teenagers, all you want to do in school is just fit in and be accepted. And so when that doesn't happen, uh I think it forced me to find this sort of independence, uh, because the only person I could rely on was myself. And that's a good thing, but at the same time, it almost made me a little too independent. Because
What do you mean? What do you mean?
well, especially when I, started dating, I just was so independent and so used to like getting on with my life. My mom's like, you do know you should probably talk to your boyfriend and see if he's up for that. And like, or if I'm, I'm an Aries, typical Aries girl, so I love adventures. It's very much carpe diem, which there's so much of that in Sev as well that I can relate to. And I wear my heart more on my sleeve, whereas Sev, she does, but she doesn't reveal it. Um, it's very hard, with Sev, that's where I found common ground with Sev, especially with her traumas and everything. If we're talking about and talk about loneliness and isolation, because she
Yeah.
was an orphan and she was taken in as a child by the Guild, one of Avalon's crime factions. And this was the family that she never had. This was the family she thought she needed. And so you can just imagine her loyalties, everything was for the Guild until, and they trained her to be this assassin right from when she was a child. And so not exactly the normal things that a kid would be doing. And they used her, as she says, as a weapon. But of course, in her mind, this is her family. So why wouldn't she, do anything to family? And so, she became this espionage expert. And then as she got older, she met the love of her life, Pascal, and he was really instrumental in revealing the ugliness of the criminal underworld. And that was a huge turning point for Sev. She didn't want to have anything to do with this life anymore. She just wanted to have a normal life. So there is that side of Sev that, a lot of people don't know, but this is her backstory. And which is, again, as an actor, was just so delicious to just jump into with all these layers for Sev. And so she decides that she wants to leave, the guild. Of course, they're not happy about this. And they orchestrate this whole story, which she totally believes. And they tell her that actually Pascal is from the opposition of another crime family that is going to kill her. So she's very instrumental in his death. She killed him, and she later finds out the ultimate betrayal, that obviously that was all a lie. And so ever since then, Sev became an assassin for hire. She broke free from the guild, just didn't want anything to do with these crime factions. And so, that's what brought her to Black Ops, to be a rogue agent, because she was on her own mission. It just happened to align with what they were wanting about, Pantheon infiltrating the CIA, and there being connections to these different crime factions that were hugely responsible for the choices she made that she regrets, killing, the love of her life. So she very much is on this journey of revenge and also redemption, which I don't know if Sev ever arrives at a level of redemption.
No, I
Forgive.
don't think so. Not yet,
I don't
anyway.
know. No, no. For her, it's in her mind to put things right and to make sure this doesn't happen to someone else is to just get them all, come back for all of them and just rinse them. And so she's on this mission, especially, I was very excited about Warzone, knowing that this is all gonna, all the players
Dude,
would really know
you're
about, backstory.
you're in season 1 of Warzone.
I know.
Like and you're like the second mission. Like the amount of trust they've put in to you. Don't you
I
feel
I was over the moon. I mean, whilst we're like filming it, like I said, it's been 2 years of being on the PCAP stage and being in the VO booths. And you know, they always had these focus groups where they would, and this is one thing that's really great, you know, at every stage they would have focus groups um, with influencers or people who were very knowledgeable, like big fans.
Ah, wow.
And they would test out, especially the new characters, you know, they would test out to get feedback. And Sev was testing so well.
That's
She was
awesome.
doing, which is always a relief, let me tell you. It's a relief. Thank God, thank God, thank God.
Uh,
And testing so well that, you know, they created more opportunities for me to tell Seb's story. And like I said, I've had the warmest welcome into this universe. And every day when I'm on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, it's just been so lovely because I get to meet all these Call of Duty players from all over the world. I'm meeting gamer girls and gamer guys, and it's it's just so wonderful. And I can't express enough how deeply meaningful it is, you know, because we all had such a great time. I mean, you become family. You're 2 years together,
oh
you
yeah.
become family. And I was the only girl on the Black Ops team. So, you know, it was,
Yes.
I was with Ilan and Bruce and Damon and Seamus, and but they're always looking out for me, which is so sweet. And you know, every morning when we rock up to Activision and PCAP stage, it's always a day in school. We're always constantly learning from each other and talk about fantastic scene partners where everyone just wants to elevate each other and make a scene so great. Also, we have copious amounts of rehearsals because if any of your viewers don't know, in the world of PCAP, you can't make any mistakes, especially when you're doing group scenes. You make one mistake and that's it. You're starting all
What
of
type of
it.
mistake would a typical mistake be?
If you say a line wrong, if you fub up on a line, if you accidentally go to a different mark, you know,
Oh,
because
even
it's a
that technical.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're on a skeletal set, you know, it's a big room, everything's marked out with tape, you know, on the ground and everything. And it's very much being a kid. You have to use your imagination. Um, and you have to imagine things are around you. They give us, you know, parameters. They tell me, oh, if you lean too far back, you're going to fall off the stairs. Or if you walk too far in, that's where the leak was in the safe house, you're going to be in the ocean. I'm like, oh, okay. So it's like things like that. So if you make a mistake, it's not like film and TV where you can just pause for a second and then just go back 2 lines and then just say that section again. You can't do that in PCAP. It's the most humbling. It's so humbling because you start right from the beginning. And so it's really fun. That's why we do so many rehearsals. So when we have these big group scenes, you should see our relief when we get through, you know, like take 7 and we're like, got it. Do we get it? After T pose, we're like, do we get it? And we're like, yes. I'm like, yes, we got it. We got it. You know, we got it. So you're very much, all this to say, you're so in tune with each other. And
Yeah.
you know that it just made the dynamic for all of us just so much fun. And I really like we're friends for life now. And like tomorrow they're coming over, some of the boys are coming over to help me decorate the house, which for Christmas, which is so cute. I think it's adorable.
Oh, that's
Got it
great.
on. Dave coming over. It's really, really sweet. And I think that's the gift. You know, there's so many gifts that come out of this. The gift of working with, you know, these people for 2 years and becoming friends for life. And, you know, getting the chance to meet the players from all over the world and them giving their feedback on them playing your character and seeing them enjoy it so much. Just that's the greatest gift because that's the hope that whatever I've done for Sev to make her a character that people would want to play, um, you know, and maybe relate to in some ways, um, and feel seen even. You know, that's one thing about Sev is that she's this, like I said, she's this no nonsense gal, but she really sees people for what they are and what they're not. And I, I guess with each character that I've played, in my acting career, we've always been told right from drama college that, essentially, okay, if they were an extension of you, even though there's so much about Sev that I'm clearly not an assassin or an
Really?
espionage
I
expert.
thought you were an assassin.
But
Oh,
I know,
okay.
and funny
Wow.
enough, on the Irrational, this show I'm doing on NBC, I am playing XMI6. So I'm like, hang on a second, there's a bit
Ah.
there. But
You got a niche going on at the moment.
I know before it started off, when I did Gallivant and Once Upon a Time, these were all fantasy type, Scorpion King, Color of Magic. I did Legacies, which was part of the Vampire Diaries. I've been part of these really big universes, but they all cross-pollinate. Like I have Once Upon a Timers that are playing Call of Duty, which I love it. I have a lot of Fear the Walking Dead fans that were like, "Oh my God, Grace is, in COD," and
That's cool.
um, it makes me smile so much, because I've had all of them following my journey, and so I feel like I've been adopted by this new wonderful universe, this family, this COD family, and they've been so kind, and they've been sharing their opinions. Some people don't like Sev's pink, buzz cut, in Warzone, and they wish that, she could look more like the campaign, but I didn't get a chance to answer that. And actually,
There'll be
you know,
skins. There'll be skins.
there'll be different skins, but also what they have to remember is that Sev is a master of disguise. If you went into Sev, we talked about this when we were prepping for her cutscenes in the campaign. It's like she has a huge, huge walk-in closet. Let me tell you, she's got every wig, you name it.
So
Like she's
similar
got
to
everything.
yours at home.
Just, I think her bigger because she's got so many
Oh, okay.
wigs, so many. It's like her treasure trove. She's got all her weaponry, her ammunition that she needs. She's got everything. It's like she'd fit right in, on a
Because
movie.
there's a Rick Grimes and a Daryl Dixon's Warzone skin and Michonne. Do you think they'd ever get a Grace one for Sev? Do you think that's
I would totally ask for one if I could. That would be so
that'd be cool,
great.
wouldn't
Um, that would be so cool. So I don't know, watch the space. I'll definitely try.
it?
That would be so cool if like
Even one
Grace.
that looks like it that might not be branded, but kind of looks like Grace. Could probably get away with something.
No, yeah. I don't know how it works, obviously, for the galaxy with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that's probably the issue. But
Yeah, but that would be, super, super cool. But Sev has many disguises, and so today it's a pink buzz haircut with a nose ring
yeah,
and different, like she's got all that down to a T. But the next time it could be a lovely, like, Greta Garbo outfit. Like she just has something for everything because that's what she's good at. She's an expert at that, and whatever it calls for, she's going to go. She's definitely a person that will dress according to her mood, and if she feels like wearing a pink buzz cut with the nose ring and tats, she's going to go and do that.
What's your
She's
favorite look from her from the game? You've obviously seen the cutscenes, everything.
I have.
Yep.
And I had to do it secretly because um my husband is going to start playing tonight. And so he's like, I don't want to see anything. Don't show me. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I won't. And so I have to go into like a different room and my office and just watch the cutscenes.
Are you going to play it
And
with him, by the way? Are you going
oh,
to
I
watch him?
will.
Yeah.
Well, I love first I'm gonna watch him
Yeah.
because I just need to take it all in.
Mm.
Um and because there's a lot obviously happening. So I'll probably be the worst backseat driver and drive me nuts. Passenger driver, and you'll be like, Karen. But he jokes, right? Because he says that this is the only time he's going to relish that he can, on one of the missions, you can be Sev. And he's so excited because he knows it's the only time ever in his life where he can control me. So he's extremely excited. And my nephews, I have two nephews, I have to say over 18. And
yeah.
I've earned massive brownie points, auntie brownie points,
Oh, yeah.
this as well. Like the mind's blown, for them. And so they call Sev Auntie Sev, which is really cute and really cute.
Yeah.
That's so cute. They're like, Auntie Sev, like your aunt, like all their mates are like, oh my God, I was playing your aunt in campaign, and oh my God, your aunt's on Warzone, and they're just,
That's
it's
cool.
I mean, that alone, just again, it's one thing, the players enjoying the experience, and then to also have, my family so geeked out about it, my nephews and hubby is just so that's the biggest gift, those two things. So
what does be kind and have courage mean to you? I'm curious.
so my mom told me that when I was a kid, especially when I was being bullied, because she's trying to tell me that, it really has nothing to do with you. It's, something that they're going through. And whilst it's so unfair that they're projecting out on you, she said you have to know that it has nothing to do with you, that there's an inner storm that you and I don't even know about. And she said it takes a lot of courage to be kind. And I never really understood that until I was getting older and hopefully more mature and wiser with life experience and all. So I can fully appreciate that, especially now that I was told that nice people need company. They need witnesses, but kind people don't. And that really stuck with me. Kind people don't need an audience. It's not a strategy, it's a way of life.
I
And
love that.
it really, changed the way it makes you really appreciate people, those who have the courage to be kind. And it's that's where that came from, because it was just trying to have empathy, which is really tough, especially in today's world. It's the world is very divided, and where can we find that empathy, to meet each other halfway? And so that really deeply, resonates with me, especially now. It's just small kinds of small acts of kindness, matter. And it can be little things. Even like when I'm trying to like merge onto a lane, if someone allows me to, especially in LA, where they're like, they don't, it's challenging. But when they do, I always, always stick my hand out and say thank you, because I just want them to know that I'm really thankful. And, it's little things like that that can just change your day, brighten your day.
Yeah.
And I will say this, I think, having been on the side of being bullied growing up, it really made me hyper aware and very sensitive to how you treat people. And I'm really bizarrely grateful for that, because it has made me very aware how I treat people. And I think, miracles start from each and every one of us. And it's a lot of the time we don't think that we matter or that we don't make a difference, but little do you know that one thing you said changed someone's life, and I know for me, I've been surrounded by wonderful teachers, mentors, the unsung heroes that, made me feel seen at a time where I didn't, where I just thought I couldn't amount to anything, because kids can say the meanest things.
Oh, I know.
And it's only now, obviously, we're old enough I can laugh at it. But at the time, you were just too young. We don't have the bandwidth, the maturity, a life experience to understand what it all means. But it's something that, that's I've learned so much from. And That is my, my ethos is, spread acts of kindness any chance you get, and I've had that in my life, like I said, with my teachers and mentors, that have guided me so well. And I know it takes a village. I know I wouldn't be playing Sev in Call of Duty if it wasn't, for a lot of people in my life, that believed in me and gave me opportunities. Um, and playing Sev, I have to say, it's been one of the biggest highlights of my acting career. And
Wow.
I never thought it would come from a video game.
Mm.
Um, to not to diminish video games at all, because I've done other video games too, but I'm so impressed, like I said, with how far video games have come, come along the way. And how it just really feels like, a movie. I mean, it's no surprise you see games like Last of Us and all that being adapted, Halo, all of that being adapted for TV or film. Um, and I just think, the backstories of each of these characters in Call of Duty is just, it's just amazing. And I do feel secretly really cool, even though I'm such a geek and I'm a proud geek. But this role has definitely made me feel a lot cooler.
What makes you a
I
geek, though? What do you do that's geeky?
um well, in school, I was always that kid that, needed to get straight A's and a bookworm.
Oh, yep.
I love books. If I could live in a library, I would be so happy. Like
Fiction or
it's my
non-fiction?
both. I've
Both.
got
Oh,
everything.
you got a collection near you
I
now?
do.
Yeah.
Like, if you look here,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I do. But
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I got lots of books, and then I've got
Oh,
more in the other
you've
room.
got a lovely office. Let me just say.
If I
I,
could fit more books in
you
anywhere,
would? Yeah.
I absolutely would.
Can you give me top three of all time, or is that too hard?
Oh, oh, Dan.
Too hard? Or three
Boy,
recent ones? Three recent ones, maybe.
I'll tell you, The Manual of the Warrior of Light by Paulo Coelho was life-changing for me.
Okay.
Um, so I highly recommend, The Alchemist, also by Paulo Coelho. If we're talking story-wise recently, I'm looking at my books and I'm like trying to and I've got some,
You
look,
want to
I'm
get, you
surrounded.
want to give a good recommendation too, don't
I
you?
do, I do. So definitely those two Paulo Coelho books
Yeah,
are so, 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 so good. Um,
that's all right.
gosh. Okay, wait. I will give you. This is important to me. I'm so spoilt for choice because I also read a lot of biographies too. And
Ah,
at the moment, I'm reading the biography of Maggie Smith, Dame Maggie
oh,
Smith passed
yes.
away. I love reading obviously about from other actors as well. Alan Rickman's biography, which is just a bunch of his diary entries, but it's just so joyful to read. Um,
Legend.
yeah, so I'm kind of in a biography mode right now because I just I'm three-quarters into Alan Rickman's, and I'm also starting to read Maggie Smith's, which is wonderful. So I've got that. But I just need like story-wise, I've got to give you looking at them right now, and I'm like, oh my God, there's so many. Which one do I pick? Okay, I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna text you and I'm
The
gonna let you.
Walking Dead comic. How about we land with that?
Oh, oh, obviously. Yes, of course. Walking Dead. Um,
Hold on. So, what else do you do that's geeky? So, you're a straight A's book
I was a
nerd,
straight,
and that's
well,
it.
and I was a bookworm. I loved, I think one thing in school, because like I was the cool kids didn't want anything to do with me or anything, and the bullies and all of that. So there was a table at lunch, and it would be these other kids from different grades, and we were always like kind of the non-popular ones. And but we'd gather around the table and we just have a delightful time just talking about everything, talking about um a book, talking about video games, talking about chord progressions in music class. I went to an art school, or we talk about, different Shakespeare plays and stuff like real thespian things. And it was the most joyous conversation. They talk about their card collection, the stamp collection, or the Lego collection and the latest Lego box that they got or something. Or I talk about puzzles a lot. I love puzzles as well. And so it's just little things like, or they bring the Rubik's Cube and we'd be like, okay, who's going to get it the fastest? It just gave us community and connection, which I'm so grateful for. And I love the fact that it was, fellow students, but we were all in different grades. And that was awesome because the other kids were like, oh no, we only mix with our own grade. And I'm like, why would you when there's so many awesome students in different grades that you might not be in classes with, but you get to meet at lunchtime and it's so nice. So I always love good conversation and I felt like I had that. So I was really grateful for them. They were my cheering squad at a really difficult time growing up. And it was yeah, and it meant everything to me. So I'm a proud geek. Geeks are cool.
Going back to Black Ops, I love that emotional scene where you do kind of reveal the backstory. Do you remember shooting that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember when it was I remember the moment of filming that. When the writing is so good and our backstories are so well developed, it becomes so easy to just fall into place, that with that character and that with your character and in that moment. And I thought, what was so beautiful about that moment is that we don't get the chance to see many opportunities where Sev
vulnerable
is.
Yeah.
And that's what really excited me. I was like, oh, guess what, guys? She's also human. And she feels the same things that you do. But we all process emotion in so many different ways. None of it is wrong. It's, none of it's right. It's her way. And so I was so excited to have that moment for her.
How do you prepare though for that day? Did you do anything different the morning of? Did you?
It's like I said, I have my playlist of songs. And I had some instrumental tracks that I was playing from different composers.
Why instrumental? Was there a reason?
Yeah, because when it comes into sort of and look, every act's different, if they've got their playlist, it's whatever song that resonates with them. For me, when it comes to moments where you're playing vulnerable scenes, I don't like a lot. I like to quieten everything down so that you could just focus on the base emotions. And me, a good movie score or soundtrack can just, get me to that place that I need to be for Sev. And so also another thing, playing these moments, you can't really over rehearse or over practice vulnerable scenes. I feel like
you got to feel it.
It's what happens in the moment. And I never want to over rehearse that because then you get so used to it. It's just, I just want to feel that moment.
You don't want to force it.
Yeah. And that's where the magic of spontaneity happens in acting. There's got to be some room for a bit of spontaneity, that spontaneous magic that just filters in. And I remember when I shot that and I was sitting down on a stool and it was just me and it was just like a spotlight almost. And I just had the song, the instrumental music in my head. I played it just before and I just walked in and you just feel. I think the biggest journey for an actor is trusting and just being in the moment. And that's something that when I was, in my teens and in my early 20s, I really thought, what's that? I was like, oh my God, no, I got to rehearse. I got to plan. But you have to trust that, I know Sev And I don't know what's going to happen at any moment, you know, especially when she's opening up a bit. And I said, you know, this is a moment where she's going to feel whatever she feels in that moment. And I remember after we did the take, you could hear a pin drop. And Natalie and Murray and Amanda, they were like, oh my gosh. They were like, I think Natalie was in tears and Murray was a bit teary-eyed too in that moment.
Oh, that's when
So,
you know you've done.
yeah. And I was like, oh, good. You know, and for me, that was a really, really important and big moment for Sev. And I just wanted to honor that. Like, it was a very proud moment, like for me as Karen, of Sev. Like, I'm so proud of Sev. She opened up. She was able to be vulnerable for 2 seconds, you know, and I was like, okay, I'll take it, you know, and it was really exciting for me as an actor to do that scene. It's probably one of my favorite scenes because, you know, that's not the Sev that you usually see. So you can tell that when she's talking about, you know, loss, she really does know the meaning of loss.
Oh, and
Yeah.
even the conflict with Marshall, I love that little scene, that little interaction as well.
Tough love.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's one thing about Sev too. She came into this because the mission aligned with what she wanted to do. But I think the more time she spent with the gang, obviously she becomes more invested and she, dare I say, begins to care about them as well. She might not show it, she does. And you see it in moment, you know, you
There's
see
small little nuance, yeah.
there is, you know, the pufferfish scene. I just love so much. And you know, that little banter with you know, with her teasing Marshall saying, you know, don't complain. We ate well whilst we were roaming the desert. I thought it was funny. And then in the end, where she thinks, is he really going to serve us pufferfish? And Marshall saying to her, no, you said don't complain. And it's like, I just love those moments of levity, you know, those moments of levity in between all the seriousness, the badassery, you know, the fighting. No, it's moments like that the banter, the locker room banter between, I feel, you know, Woods and Adler and even Felix and Marshall. You could see how cohesive, you know, they all become, whether they agree on things or disagree on things, you know. And look, you've seen cutscenes where like Sev is, you know, when she's not happy about something, she tells them, you know, and she's not a person that keeps still, something I can relate to. She always has to be on her toes doing something. So I just love the dynamics between each of the characters and how they how they mingle with each other. But yeah, she does become more invested in her relationships with them.
Do you think Case and Harrow are alive, or you think they're dead?
Oh, I know.
What do you have any
Ooh.
theories for me?
Do I have any other than the ones that I've been reading about? I see, in my mind initially, I thought, in my mind, honestly, like when I first saw the cutscenes, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, Harrow's gonna and Case is alive. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
But, you know, it could be interpreted in so many ways. I honestly don't know the answer. I'd like to think good prevailed over evil. Um, I have no idea. I honestly, my gut thought reaction was, oh, Harrow's gone and Case is alive, and we'll find him, you know, we'll find him. They've left it definitely hanging.
Which is
But it
always
wouldn't be, of course they have to.
which is
They
always
have
good as an actor, right? You know, if
Yeah.
things are left hanging, that's always a
I
good sign, right?
know. Yeah, like I obviously, if they asked me to play Sev again, I would say yes in a hot minute because I just love playing her so much. Um, but it depends where the timelines go. You know,
Mm.
I don't I don't know.
Would you be
So I'll
opposed to doing an older Sev?
no, not at
Yeah.
all. I think that could be really exciting and really interesting to play an older Sev, you know?
Or even a younger. Even go back
Oh
to
yeah.
their backstory and play that out.
Uh,
Who knows?
oh gosh. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's and
That would be intense.
oh, that's exciting to me as well because obviously we know her backstory and
Mm.
you know we get to meet Pascal, you know, that would be it would just be awesome. Um so I don't know, there's so many ways that it could go, but I'm just so thrilled that a lot of people really like Sev and they love playing her or they just, you know, I'm just so tickled by that. It's just it's so awesome. I do conventions, you know, I've done conventions a lot in the past and really looking forward to next year because I just it's so nice like having just met people, you know, through social media and stuff and hearing from them is just so lovely. Um the cosplay, I'm really excited about all the cosplay and you know, see a bunch of people dressed up as
Sevs.
Sev would be
Would you ever do one of Sev?
you know, I feel like I'm so spoilt for choice. Like Halloween for me is now sorted for a decade. They've got all these looks and outfits. And I'm like, because you asked me what
Yeah,
my
what was
favorite,
your favorite? Yeah, sorry.
it's so hard to choose. Like, see, for me,
I love the Bill Clinton rally look.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That one was a that one was a really fun look. And you know, ironically, that scene was my audition scene.
Oh, wow.
And I was in the middle of we were in the middle of remodeling our house. I was filming Fear the Walking Dead in Austin, and we had driven up to LA towards the end. This is when I wrapped on the final season, and I got this casting request for this big video game, and I just thought, what am I going to do? Because the house is, forget it, it's all construction, and we're in the guest house surrounded by boxes like
Oh,
appliances.
yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, when you're doing a tape for a casting for a video game, they really want to see your full body and your movement, the way you move. And I was like, if I pan out, they're gonna see the fridge, the stove, but like they're gonna see everything.
What you had
How
for
do I
breakfast?
create
Yep.
what I have for and it's like in this small room. And it's like now what you guys know is that Bill Clinton scene. It was like this massive hall and everything. And I'm like, how am I going to create this scene? But
Hey, you did
so
it.
what? Yeah, I somehow sorry. Um, I normally like when you're doing mocap, you usually wear very neutral clothing. But what was interesting for me in that particular scene was Sev was undercover and she was dressed up. So I thought, oh, you know what? I'm gonna dress up.
Oh,
So
nice. Nice.
yeah, so I got decked out. I put on a red gown that had
Wow.
a very high slit on the front, and I kind of did a makeshift garter for a knife and and like and
Wow.
everything. Yeah, I kind of just to
That's
help
so
me get
cool.
the mindset, you know. Um,
And you didn't
and
know it was Call of Duty?
no, I didn't know it was Call of
Yeah.
Duty. For me, it just felt like, oh, she's a spy. It was like, you know, maybe it's a new spy game or something. Like I had no idea. And so for me, I said, nonetheless, she feels a bit tomboyish, which is something I could totally relate to because I was a big tomboy. And I thought she's a type that, you know, underneath her dress, she's going to have all sorts of gadgets. So that's what I did. I just kind of tied things around my legs and my thighs and everything, just so I had a feel for like, you know, spy espionage kind of thing. And So I did it in this red gown, and I'll never forget. Natalie said when we were doing press in London recently, she said they had a really difficult time trying to find Sev. They didn't, they just couldn't find Sev in the first round. And so I came in the next round of castings, and as soon as they saw that tape where I was just in this red out, she said that's it. That's it. So it's
Wow.
little things like that can help you really get into character and everything. But she, like yeah, that scene in particular, that look, I knew this is the one time we're probably going to see Sev all like dolled up or something. And I thought, well, that could be fun to sort of, play this tomboyish, sassy, no nonsense girl trying to be a trophy wife, which is something far from what Sev would ever want to be. But that made it more interesting for me as an actor, to play with and mess around with.
That's where you get the banter and stuff, don't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get a kick out of it because it also really puts me into her mindset. I even did a little bit of improv in the end. Like I was pretending I was, having a glass of wine, and at the end of the scene, it wasn't in the script, but I improved and I said, "Oh, this wine is shit." I was like, just to give them an idea of where I thought Sev, so cheeky, no nonsense, like, and she's talking to Case in her earpiece, and she's like, oh, and it was just so much fun for me. So I was like, okay. Um, so you always kind of throw ideas at them to give them an idea of, my interpretation of what I thought Sev could be. So I'm just really happy that it aligned with what they saw. And yeah, 2 years later, it's like to see the end results is such a buzz. It's a real trip to just watch. You think, wow, that's what it all looks like in the end. When they revealed the artwork for Sev, um, I remember being with the boys because they were showing each of our characters. And of course, like Bruce and Damon had an idea of what Woods and Adam looked like. But for Elon and I, this was, and Seamus, this is really new. And so I remember they pulled out the big screen TV when we were on the PCAP stage, and I saw Sev for the first time. I literally gasped. I was like, oh my God. I was like, what? And I would slowly walk up to her like I'm scared. And I'm like,
Oh, that's good.
I was like, oh my God, that's me. But
It's
it's not
me.
me. But it's me. But it's not me. But it's
What
me.
was
And
what was she
so
wearing in that
quickly.
when you what was
Yeah, she was wearing like this jean jacket. In some of the
Oh, yeah,
artwork, I
yeah,
think you
yeah.
see,
Yep.
the thing, and her short buzz. That was a trip. I was like, I love
Yes.
this. She had short buzzed hair with peroxide blonde streaks. And I just thought, oh, I should get my hair done. That's kind of cool. Um, but it's because you see yourself, and I knew it was going to be, I think that's what makes this really more, like for me, it's like even more
Special.
special.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, like I've done other video games like Mirror's Edge Catalyst and Dead Rising 4, and I've played these really fun characters in them. Um, but they didn't look like me. But Sev was always going to be of my likeness. So right from day one, my first day working on this, I had to go to Activision, and what I can only describe as
All the
like sitting on
cameras. Yeah.
and being, slowly escorted in. Cinderella's pumpkin patch, it's 600 cameras and lights, and you have to hold these different positions, um, and do facial expressions. It's like 400 pictures almost. You're in there for quite a few hours, and you're holding like it's kind of like Twister, like left foot on yellow, right arm on green, and it was like
But
raise the left part of yours, and I'd be like, smile, half smile, and raise your eyebrow, and I'd be like, I'd have to think about it. I'm like
but
I'd be
doesn't it freak you out a
like,
bit that there's this digital replicate of you in their system that looks, you know what I mean?
yeah, I
Do you know
mean,
what I mean?
look, with AI and all of this, it is kind of spooky. But
Do you know what I mean? Like
for
seeing yourself in a game, it just I just can't imagine it. It's just trippy.
it is, it's very, I think I'm still tripped out about it. I don't think that'll ever go
Nah.
because, when they dropped the Warzone season 1 trailer, I
What?
because it is me. It's
Yeah.
definitely me. But it's Karen with a pink buzz cut and got hats, and I'm like, I loved it, but it is. I think it's always going to be trippy for me because just to see that, it's me, and yet it's not, but it's me, but it's Sev. It's like it's so exciting, because you're part of this huge universe and this legacy, and so knowing how much work has gone into Black Ops 6, and like I said, being on the front lines of seeing how everyone from different departments have worked so hard and tirelessly to try and get it right, to try to make everyone, happy, and they know that not everyone's going to be fully satisfied, but they really really worked hard to try their best to get it as close to that as possible. And I think their 4 years of hard work has paid off in spades. It's they took the time to bring back a lot of things that made Black Ops so special, and then bring in new things. I mean, for me, I was geeking out about Omni Movement. I thought that was so cool when they first told us about it and explained it to us what it was going to be, because I just thought, my gosh, that just changes your whole gaming experience. I honestly feel like, video games now is like a movie where you get to pick what happens and really feel immersed in the storylines, and you also feel even more invested in these characters, which I find so exciting. So I'm a big advocate for every actor, if they have the opportunity to, do video games. Going to drama college, we were always told that every opportunity is an opportunity to learn and to grow and to do things that you didn't think you could do. And so, you know, obviously I do a lot of film, and I do a lot of TV, and those are different experiences in itself, which I love. But the gaming experience is very different. And like it reminds me so much of live theater, but harder in the sense because you can't make any mistakes. Like you have to be note perfect, which is why you do copious amounts of rehearsals. But there is this relationship between, theater, doing live theater, and doing PCAP, which I think that's why we enjoy it so much. So it's just been a really different and creatively satisfying experience. So and who would have thought, from a video game, but just goes to show how far they've come along, and the budgets too for these games are huge. So yeah, it's been exciting.
For Walking Dead, what was that last day like on set after all those years?
5 years being together, like I said, you become family. Your family with the crew, your family with the cast, your family with the creatives. They're your family. They're the ones that show up for you, even on Call of Duty too. Everyone plays a key, important role, and they show up every day to make you look good. And my gratitude is endless, to each and every one of them. And, for Fear the Walking Dead, we'd also gone through a pandemic together. And we were so grateful to be able to continue doing what we love to do at a very difficult time, at a very scary time, at a time where we didn't know what we were dealing with. I've never been more grateful to be part of a developed, well-developed, established well-oiled machine that is Walking Dead universe. They had the budgets to make sure that we were all tested regularly for COVID. You know, not every show has those budgets, but we were very lucky to have that. And that allowed us to be creative, to create in a time that was very difficult. And that was such a gift. And it also meant, you know, that we had to take extra precautions because especially pre-vaccine, we didn't know, like, if one of the casts caught it, then it puts the whole production at risk. And
Did that
you
happen?
know, oh, there were like, I think it happened twice where we had to rejig things and change the schedules up because, you know, someone caught COVID, that, or there was an exposure, possible exposure. So, but they always had a plan B, C, D, and E. And on a show like Walking Dead, you know, you have to, especially because there's just so many moving vehicles happening, that you really have to have different plans. So, but we were in this cluster, you know, this cluster, and in Austin, and Lenny was like 5-minute walk away from me. We were all sort of like, you know, because we had to stay in this bubble with each other, and so it was great. And you know, Lenny and his missus, you know, like they're bestest friends for life. Like I said,
that's great.
family. And my last day, you know, it's a culmination of all these memories and everything that we've been through together. And it was so surreal because I said, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. Of course, epic fail. And my bawling my eyes out.
Well, you can't help it, really. I mean,
Yeah, and
that if you put that much passion and time and, you know.
yeah, and it's one thing about saying goodbye to your character. I knew that, you know, playing Grace, right from the moment I joined the show, that she was on a ticking clock.
Yeah.
Like I knew at some point she's going to succumb to radiation. So it's going to happen. In fact, every season, at the end of a season or the start of one, like especially the end, I'd look and I'm like, is she dead? Oh no. Like, she got like, oh, good, okay.
Sounds like Game of Thrones, you know, checking if
Yeah,
the character
exactly.
survives. Yeah.
You never know. So it's, you know, 4 seasons I was able to play this character, but I was prepared for that because I knew that was inevitable for her.
Yeah.
But no matter how much you're prepared to, and you know that whatever time you have together as a cast and crew, as a TV family, you know that it's only going to be a chapter in your life. And that's a bittersweet part. So for me, my tears on the last day were all about, I'm not going to see these people who I love and care about so much on a regular basis. And, you know, life will not be the same moving forward. You know, I have even more amazing human beings in my life and the sweetest memories, but it'll never be the same while we're together like this every day, you know, seeing Coleman Domingo, seeing Garrett Dillahan, Jenna Elfman, Austin Emilio, like these, Ruben, like it just, all these amazing actors, and having a scene partner like Lenny James was like 5 years of, you know, acting school too. Like you learn so much from such established actors, like Lenny and Coleman, and it's so deeply inspiring. I just feel like the level of acting, you know, to be working with such mega talent, um, you know, has definitely made me a better actor and a better human being. Um, so it was really bittersweet, really, really bittersweet. But, you know, they can't get rid of me. We're all in each other's lives. And that's the gift that you get. You know, you get the gift of family moving forward. And it's a very small industry. So if you're lucky, you get the chance of working with them again, or someone knows someone who knows, you know, and it's just like 1 degree of separation. So yeah, I'm so grateful. I wanted to do something completely different and unexpected after doing Gallivant and Once Upon a Time. Sign me up for anything that's fantasy or like period, you know, feature. I'm there. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. But I also knew that I needed to show that I could do other things that are completely out of my comfort zone. And that's the journey of an actor, is to do the roles that scare you. You know, doing a role like Sev, you know, it's scary. I said, oh, that's how I know I've got to play someone like Sev, you know, because she's so different and there's so many, like you said, so many layers to her character, and her backstory. So I had to do it. You know, same with playing Grace on Fear the Walking Dead. Um, really sad, traumatic, devastating
It's a
storylines.
bit depressing of a show, you know what I mean? Like it's a
Yeah.
depressing world. Yeah.
And and you know, there'd be moments of levity, you know, with
Oh, of course. Yeah.
humor and lightness, and you know, but at the same time it's these very deep dark storylines. um so it's important to be able to step into the light and come up for air in between.
Yeah.
um it was such a great challenge for me as an actor to do that, and I'm really glad I did. And that's something that's always important for me, because I always want to learn, I always want to grow and do, you know, different kinds of roles. So, you know, playing Grace was definitely one of them. And I'm so glad
Does
for
your
it.
mood change, you know, shooting Walking Dead versus shooting The Irrational versus shooting Sev? You know, these periods of your life, do they have this kind of theme to them, or does it all feel kind of similar when you're acting?
Yeah, I was filming Call of Duty obviously for the last 2 years, and same with Irrational. And so when I wasn't filming on the Irrational, if I had an episode off, then I'd be working on Call of Duty. Um, and it's, you know, for me, the playlists help so much because they have a lot of in common, in the sense where, you know, Rose on the Irrational is, you know, she's an ex-MI6, and she's had a really um a really sad backstory as well. Um, and I think playing characters like Rose, Sev, Grace, one thing that they all have in common in their backstories is the loneliness, the sense of loss. Um, you know, they've loved, they've lost, uh, they've been through, you know, feeling the feeling of isolation, and
Mm.
all on a path of redemption. All three of them, all on a path of redemption, and whether they find it or not, you know, but that's what keeps it interesting for me. But at the same time, they're so different from each other too. And I do map out things, you know, for myself when I'm prepping for my characters, because you want to breathe different nuances into each of these characters. Obviously Sev's at a time in 1991 where, you know, she's young woman, and she's very much fueled by revenge. You know, that's her driving force, is revenge. Um, with Rose, you know, her journey has taken a different turn. You know, the life that she thought she wanted, the life of MI6, completely, the choice was, she didn't make that choice. The choice was made for her, outed, and she had no choice then to completely walk away from it. And that was very traumatic for her and devastating, because in many ways with Rose's backstory, you know, being the only child, single mom, never, you know, feeling betrayed by her father, um you know, there's a lot of pain and abandonment, and it was just easier for her to escape. And there was a connection between Sev and Rose in that sense, where every disguise, you know, the gift of being in espionage and a spy is that they can just forget who they are and just throw themselves into being someone else. And the problem is they're really good at it. So when you strip all of those layers off, well, who are they as individuals? And that's where it gets interesting for me. You know, who are these characters when they're not trying to escape and trying to be something else. What happens when they have to be themselves? And that's where that juicy spot is for me as an actor, to say, oh, what can we do here? You know, be it Sev having a vulnerable moment, or even Rose too, having a vulnerable moment.
I've
But
got to
yeah,
watch
it's,
The Irrational. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm looking forward to watching it.
oh, please do.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can watch season 1 and 2. They stream on demand and on Peacock. Jesse L. Martin is, I got so lucky because after Lenny, I told Lenny, I said, you bloody well ruined me. Like, such an amazing team partner, the kindest human being, such a
Spoiled.
joy to
You're too
work with.
spoiled.
Yeah, he's been a
Uh,
wonderful work husband for 5 years. And I'm like, am I ever gonna have this? You never know. No. And and then all of a sudden I meet Jesse R. Martin, who huge fan of his work, from Rent to Law and Order to The Flash. And I just thought, I am so blessed. Talk about another kind human being who cares so much for everyone. From right, it doesn't matter what you do. He cares about every single person on crew and family. And it is a wonderful energy on set. And to have him as a scene partner is just, it's so much fun. And I think the kick that I get out of playing someone like Rose and Sev is that I'm always having to learn something new. With Rose, every episode that I read, I'm like, oh my gosh, of course she's an expert at this. Of course she knows this language. Of course she knows this. And it's so humbling to me as an actor, because I'm like panicking inside. Oh my God, I can't, not that I would ever want to half-ass it. You can't,
no.
you know, half-ass it. You've got to fully commit and really be good at it. And I'm like, how much time do I have to learn this? I'm like, but it's always a new day in school. And I guess that's the student in me. At school, I always loved learning. And I think that should, especially when you're an actor, it's just good for anyone, all of us. We should always be curious in life, and it's never too late to pick up something. It's never too late. I want to go back to playing clarinet. I want to go and finish learning more French lessons.
It's all
Like
about
different,
learning. I agree. I love to
yeah,
learn every
you know?
day. Yeah.
Yeah. And meeting different people and being inspired by different people. It's just, I was told by one of my mentors, my acting mentors from drama college, they said, don't forget to live. Don't forget to live your life. You know, dreams are important, and I know they can be all consuming, and it doesn't feel like work, because if any of us are able to do what we love, you're winning. It's so wonderful, that if you can do what you love, but at the same time, we can't forget to live. And that becomes more prevalent, as each year goes by.
Hmm.
And, for me, it's what excites me so much is having conversations with you, getting to know the COD family and the universe, meeting different people from around the world. Those are the real bonuses for me with being an actor, is that I get to travel for work. I get to meet so many incredible human beings, and um, it never feels like a day at work. But at the same time, it's important to know balance, and also spending time with friends and family and my dog. I don't tell my husband, but I love my dog.
What kind of dog do you have?
I have a cockapoo, and he's
Oh, a
teddy bear,
cockapoo. What's a cockapoo? Sorry, I got to get an image up now.
cocker spaniel poodle. And yes, he is the apple of our eye.
That's very
And
cute.
animals in general, can we just give a shout out to them? They are just,
I've
they're
got a
miracles.
golden retriever,
Oh,
Winter.
they're the
Yes.
best. Unconditional love. That's my, I don't know if you can see him. Yeah, that's
Ah,
Milo. He's a cutie pie. And he's just a cheeky monkey. He's a rascal. Um, and he keeps us humble. He doesn't care if I played Sev or Rose in The Walking Dead. He's like, he just doesn't give two
No,
shits.
Winter doesn't give a fuck. She just wants a walk, food,
Yeah,
play,
that's it.
you name it.
Something
Yep.
Rubs playing. That's all they want. They don't
Yep.
care. But he is, yeah. But they're pure joy. There's such pure joy. I love animals so much. Like so much. Um yeah, and they just, yeah, they bring so much joy. If I could, I mean, I'd love to have goats, chickens, cows,
Oh,
horses.
really? Would you?
I would be
Like
in
a
my element.
farm?
Yeah. And you know, the crazy thing is, like when I was, because I'm so city girl, growing up in London, England, in Toronto, and now in LA and stuff, like I am such a city girl, but there is something to be said, like, you know, now, and I don't know if it's, as like I said, as we grow up and hopefully become more wiser, you begin to realize the things that are much more meaningful and important. And I just love the energy that animals bring, horses, goats. Like when we were on Fear the Walking Dead, obviously there were a lot of horses and goats and stuff, and just picking up a baby goat. Oh, it's so awesome. I mean, if Seb were listening to me right now, she'd be like, okay, get a grip. Like, let's just now. That's what Seb and I, like she, I can see Seb like saying, yeah, okay, they're all right, but don't need to have them. She's too busy. But I just love what the groundedness that they bring and stuff. So golden retrievers are beautiful. It's so lovely.
Beautiful. Thank you for your time, Karen. We really appreciate it. This has been really a highlight for me. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Dan. I just, it makes me smile so much when, both of us can chat about something that we both love. And, it's great. You ask very good questions.
Thank you. Before I let you go, what do you want people to take away from Sev?
Oh, I think Sev would want everyone to know to not be afraid to be themselves and to live fiercely, love passionately, and yeah,
Mhm.
live fiercely.
Profound words.
Yeah, like it's your last day. Her time is always, she always thinks it might be her last day. So she lives fiercely and loves passionately. And she is unapologetically herself. And that's something I've taken away from playing Sev, is all those things, not to be afraid to be who you are. And I also learned too from playing Sev, the difference between boundaries and barriers, that boundaries are really good. And it's really important that we put up, if we need to, our boundaries that serve our serenity. And that's something that I feel Sev is on a path, part of her redemption plan of trying to find, is her serenity and peace. So I've learned a lot from her.
Let's hope you're in Black Ops 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
From your
Ah.
best years. I'll just pass you on to Raven and Treyarch. I am
Oh, don't worry. They
good
listen. They
boys
listen.
again.
They listen to this show. I know. So don't worry.
But
Do you want to say anything to the fans quickly of your work over the years, whether it's Walking Dead or Black Ops, all the projects you've been a part of?
I think the greatest gift of this journey is having fans that have been there for you right from day one, or fans coming in at any point in your journey. I have fans that I remember from my very first role from many, many years ago, and they've just come along on this journey with me for each of the different roles I've played. And they've definitely made my life so much sweeter. And if I could be a part of their journey in any small way, I feel like we're witnessing each other's journeys in a way. And I know we're on social media and all that, but it's over the years, and it's just it's so heartwarming, um, because the main takeaway from all of it, knowing, what I went through as a child and, being bullied, and I share that story only for the sole purpose of knowing that, letting everyone know that, I just never once on this journey ever felt alone. I've always felt like I've had the bestest cheering squad in the whole world. And that is something I don't take lightly. That is something I never take for granted, because you're truly blessed when you have, amazing human beings from across the globe that just that are so happy to see you do well. That's such a beautiful thing, to celebrate the wins of other people. Such a beautiful thing. You want to talk about acts of kindness, they show me those examples each and every day. And they give it so freely to me all the time. And that is part of my journey. They are part of my village. So when I say it takes a village, on days that I thought, oh, am I ever gonna get that, book a role or something, in the beginning especially, I thought, what am I doing? And I just have to think, especially on tough days, if there is a tough day, then I'm just like, okay, I just remember the cheering squad that I have, because they're always there to cheer me on. And it's a really beautiful thing to have. So if I could do that for them in any way, that makes me so happy. And that's a lot of the reasons why I like doing conventions, because if it's a chance for me to say thank you to all of them, then sign me up. If it's a chance to, come on and talk to people like you, Dan, and all that, it's such a wonderful, blessed opportunity for me to just say thank you.
Well, I'll be cheering on your victories from here down here in Australia.
Oh, well, me too for you. Where in Australia are you?
I'm in Melbourne. Have you ever been here?
And I love it.
Oh, you
I,
have?
oh, I fell in love with Melbourne so much that my mum was so afraid that I wasn't going to come back.
What were you here for? A con?
So I was there for a friend's wedding.
Oh,
And
okay.
so this is years ago, and my gosh, the food scene, the activities, there's so much to do there. Obviously, everything, the weather, like we were there in summertime, we were there in December, and it's just stunning. I was beside myself. I was besotted with Melbourne. Loved
How
it.
did you go on the flight?
The flight, I was good. I slept straight.
Oh,
I made sure,
wow.
so that was good.
Well done.
Um, okay, yeah. I mean, the jet lag, I remember just being kind of knocked out for a couple of days, but
Mm. It's
gosh,
worth it. It's worth it.
oh, absolutely. I just love it. Love it, love it, love it. Um, I went to Sydney as well, and I love Sydney a lot, but Melbourne's got a special place in my heart.
Ah, that's good. Before I let you go, can Sev say something to Dan? Is that possible?
Oh, you want Sev to come out? Okay. Well, she did say it in the Warzone, so it's time to get your hands dirty.
Thank you, Karen. I very much appreciate your time today. Guys, make sure you follow Karen Instagram, Twitter, anywhere else?
Yeah, on Facebook, on
Facebook?
Instagram, Facebook, I'm at Karen David Music. Instagram, it's at Karen David Official. And on X, Twitter, it's at Karen David.
And also check out Hypnotize. Great song.
Ah! You've been doing a deep dive in the pop music stuff.
What's your favorite? Is your favorite the Christmas song? The recent Christmas?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's a good
because
one.
that one was working with Sheryl Crow was a dream come true.
Oh,
I,
yeah.
I was like, sign me up just on the, on that. That was, oh, that was buzz. I was so over the moon to work with her, and tickled that she got to write songs for me, for my character. Um, yeah, so if anyone's looking for a Christmas movie to watch, When Christmas Was Young was out on CBS. And that was a film that Sheryl Crow produced. And I got to sing in that, which is, yeah,
I'm
great.
ready for
That,
Christmas, Karen. I don't know about you.
are
I'm
you?
ready. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm
I'm in the
decorating
spirit. Yeah.
again. Absolutely. And, they say that those that decorate early, it brings more joy. Look, life is too short. And I just think you gotta do the things that bring you joy and serve your serenity. It doesn't matter what other people think.
Okay,
So,
Karen, but you got to tell my wife. She wanted to put the Christmas tree up in October. That's
fine.
too, it's too early.
Yeah, I know, but happy wife. Right?
At least
Right?
after Halloween.
Is it gonna make her so happy that she has the Chris? It's like, in my mind, I know, like, me, October's too early for me, but
So you're
I feel
doing
like,
right. Thank you.
but if that brings her joy and keeps her spirits up and makes her happy, I am all for it. But my husband has to put up with this because, like, I go during Christmas, like the whole house I decorate, and that is a
Oh,
testament to.
inside and out.
Yeah, well, outside we're starting to do, like, I have like some trees, and then I have some like gifts in the shape of gifts that light up and
Yep.
all that. So I did, but I see, this is a darn thing about social media. You see all these like inspo, right?
Oh, I
About
know.
how to
I know.
decorate your house. And I saw this big arch, this big ass arch that had foliage and everything. And I thought, that would be great. So I ordered it. And then I thought, oh my God, how many baubles have I got to put up? 80. But I hate my life right now. I'm putting up 80 baubles and faux berry
Ah.
and like bells. And I'm like, and it's magical at the end of it.
Uh,
But I gotta take this all down when. So I do things early November. And then as soon as it's January 2nd, it all comes down. So I tend to enjoy the lead up into Christmas and New Year's. And then afterwards, it's like, okay, right, time to
yep.
get back. So I put
And
everything away.
you give Milo presents, yeah?
Yeah. I'm a dog. I mean, how can we not? We're dog people, right? If you're a cat person or dog
Do
person
you
or an
wrap it
animal,
up? Do you wrap them up? I actually wrap them up. Yeah.
all right, mum. And I if it's got, treats in it, I've got to be really careful because of course,
You
he
can
can smell
smell it.
it.
Yeah.
I have to,
Yeah.
but they've got doggy advent calendars now, which is
Oh
cat
no,
calendar
you're kidding.
advent. It's amazing. And they've got
That's
all these little
hilarious.
treats in these cat. Of course, I'm such a sucker for it. And I'm like, okay, here you go. And he just opens it. I mean, the things we do for our pets. But yeah, my childhood was so wonderful. In the sense that for Christmas, my mom would decorate the whole house and it would be magical. It was like this wonderland. And as a little girl, I'd sleep in a sleeping bag by the tree. If I could go under the tree, I would. I would try and sleep underneath the tree because I'd be waiting for Santa. And of course, I always fell asleep. So apparently, I always missed again. But it was just so magical. And so for me, it's trying to recreate that. And my
Yeah.
husband knows not to get in the way of that. So I decorate. So tomorrow it's all coming out of the attic. And I've got all sorts of things to decorate. So yeah. Yeah, you'll have to send me pictures of your decorations.
Yes. Well, I want to see yours now with that lovely office. A good office,
It's your haven.
structured. Yeah.
And I think there has to be, man cave, lady cave, whatever it is, like you can just close the doors and just, be with your own company and read, like do all the things. This is my creative space. So whenever I'm learning lines, or I'm doing a casting, or if I have a meeting or a press, or if I'm just reading, or if I want to write, because I'm doing a lot of writing now too. Um, I'm just so grateful for this space. So for me, it's about creating sanctuary, because our homes, and if we're lucky enough to have space where we can put an office, it's, or a study space, it's our sanctuary. So it's supposed to be filled with things that, make you feel good, that make you smile. I think that's really
I feel
important.
like your whole house would be beautifully decked out. We need a architectural digest.
Yeah, and Coleman Domingo was saying that as well. He's like, you have to do this, because the house is done, but we're doing the backyard now. So
Yeah.
we're hoping that'll be, as soon as that's done, then yeah, that is something that, we'd like to do. I mean, everyone's been telling us, you have to do that, you have to do that. So, um, it's all about just, I just wanted to make home feel cozy. I wanted home to feel inviting, and just, anyone who walks through the door, I just want them to be hit with good energy and lots of love and feel welcome. And I just want them to even think that the walls literally would hug them. That was my way of thinking
That's
of
a
the
great.
energy that,
Yeah.
yeah, because everything that happens outside our homes, we're out there in the world trying to do great things. And sometimes, some days are hard. And it's just nice to know that, you come home and it just feels like home. And I always say, like, look, even when I was a starving student, like struggling first out of drama college, and debt and all that, it's like my mother always told me, she goes, it doesn't matter how big or small a place is. It's make sure you get a place in a great location that you're happy with, even if it's a shoebox. And she said, it doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg to be creative, to create, sanctuary. And I'll never forget that, you know?
So true. I
Yeah,
love
it
how
really
I
is.
promised you an hour and we've gone to
Have we?
yeah, we've gone 2 hours. Um
Oh my gosh. I feel like we could just talk about
I know.
Dan.
I
It's like,
literally
this is
think we
what
could
the
talk.
guys warned me about. They said,
I
Dan,
know, I know. It's
cool.
bad.
And next thing you know, blink, you're like 2, 3 hours in, and you're like, what?
No, but that's a good sign. That's a good sign. No,
That
we'll
is
let
a good, that's a testament to you.
no, it's a testament to you. Guys, follow Karen and we look forward to having her back on the show for Black Ops 7. How does that sound, Karen?
I love the way you think,
Yeah, you
Dan.
just got to throw it out there.
Yeah, exactly. It's out there.
Thanks, Karen.
Guys.